Welcome everybody, I am Ed Cruz and this is the last lesson. And this is episode 17, I believe. And then the subject is muscle. You know, those are probably when I put the title down, really put no thought behind it as far as the title. But I guess what I want you guys to look at is why do we muscle? Let's look a little bit in the psychology of why we muscle. How often when you train, and this was something that occurred in the past, and it was something I had to find an answer to, that when you do something and you do something right in Chun, it's like, it doesn't feel like anything, like I did anything or any effort was done to achieve that result. And it happened and so forth. So what you're saying to yourself is, why are we so dependent on muscle? Is because muscle you can feel, right? And feeling is like you can remember, your first kiss, or you remember a level of disappointment. Those you can feel. You can remember when you got your ass kicked or something like that. You're trying to feel for something. But in Wing Chun, when you do something right, it's like a lot of times it's like, I don't know what I'm looking for because it felt like nothing at all, right? It's kind of like Ned Flanders, right? It's like I'm wearing nothing at all, right? So why do we rely on muscle? Is because instinctively, we want to feel something. We need to feel something. And the thing is this, I get it. You need to use the muscle in the beginning because the reason you use muscle is because you don't understand the motion. And in reality, I'm telling you this, like if I punch and use muscle right now, you could say, yeah, I can actually feel me tensing. I can feel that motion. I feel that clench. That's something I can grasp and then actually cling onto. But if you say motion like this, it's hard for people to grasp into. And I'm telling you, here's the thing. You need the muscle for reflection, right? But in actuality, if you want greater feeling than muscle, than clenching your entire body together, the greatest feeling that you will get, and that will alleviate you from depending on muscle, is actually to understand the motion so that everything can sync together. See, for example, if I go like this, I can squeeze my chest, my arms, my legs, and it's like, oh wow, I can feel all that working together. It's wrong, but I can feel that, and now I have something to reference to. And as a regular person, as a regular student, it's hard for you to drift away from something that you feel comfortable with. You'll understand later on when it comes to anything in life or it comes to anything in training that even if it's wrong, human beings will stay with something and grasp with it for a long time. In other words, typical. You have a friend, he's married to a total bitch, or maybe it's the other way around, regardless. And you're like, dude, why are you staying with her? Because change is scary. Even if you know something's so evil and bad and wrong, the other side is even scarier. Right? Even if you're like, oh man, dude, I can offer you this, you'll stay with that. That's just human nature. So how to deal with the situation is you have to understand the motion. If you can, when you feel it, what you're looking for is why I don't depend on the sensation of the squeeze is because when I do something like the punch, I can feel my center of gravity actually adjusting to it. I can feel the straightening of my spine, the amount of tension when I'm doing it. So I can actually feel that motion occurring when I do it. When I'm doing the punch, right, I can feel the motion of my elbow actually moving it. So when I'm doing this motion, it's when you see someone going squeeze, 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 by being able to feel all three structures move and all three structures stop, I'm no longer then dependent on the muscle because now I'm like, oh my gosh, that actually feels even better than squeezing. Squeezing is tiring. It's kind of like saying, do 20 push-ups. Okay, I can do 20 push-ups. Do 20 more. Oh shoot, now you're like tired. But when I'm reliant and understand the motion is I move, my whole three structures move as well. And as soon as I stop, my whole three structures stop. And then you can feel that synchronization. And until you practice enough, you won't understand it. You're just like, I don't get it. What is it feels so solid, it feels so strong, and it actually replaces your dependency on the use of muscle. So, but for now, you're kind of like, you know, that crack whore who needs to feed off the muscle, okay? So when you practice things, right, concentrate on the motion, concentrate on the movement, and don't worry about any kind of power, right? In the beginning, like I said, I can feel my legs, I can feel my body. But in the beginning, you may only be working on like, okay, one hand. I can only feel, if that, one hand. And then now I have to coordinate two hands. Do I even feel that? Or is my hands just simply moving, right? So don't concentrate on power. Power comes from motion. Clear cut, good motion is where power comes from. So if you can get the feel of the lower structure, the body structure, and the hand structure to move, you can feel the motion in all three, then you'll be like, wow, feels solid. It feels solid because everything's moving, everything's stopping without any effort. So to say it doesn't feel like anything is not actually a true statement. It's an easier concept to say it doesn't feel like anything because people can reference it doesn't feel like anything, but in reality, you gotta practice so you can actually feel the motion of all three structures. Okay, hopefully that helps. Remember, it's gonna be a tough struggle because, you know, muscle, you know, for every Bruce Lee movie we've seen, you always see someone using muscle and he's flexing. That's all fine and dandy because we like that, we can see that, we can grasp that concept. So in the meantime, the best way to train is simply don't worry, just do motion. Don't worry about power. Don't worry about power. Try to listen for the feel of the motion of all three structures. All right.